Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back, and it is time for another Starcraft 2 1 vs 1 replay cast. Today we have got ourselves a PvZ between two incredibly good Starcraft 2 players. In the bottom left, representing Kulash, it is Reynor. And on the other side of the map, Blackburn, it is none other than MaxPax, the man, the myth, the legend himself. Still yet to reveal himself, as a lot of StarCraft's been online these days for obvious reasons. But anyway, MaxPax has quietly been, or not even necessarily quietly, he's been climbing up in the scene, particularly during the COVID era, I think it's safe to say. Who knows, maybe he got locked inside and was like, I guess I'll play some more StarCraft. Anyway, yeah, MaxPax and Reynor, two incredibly great players. Reynor has got a little bit more prestige. MaxPax, on the other hand, I didn't know he was on Team Skystorm. I'm not sure when that happened, but I must have missed it. That's cool to see, though. Skystorm, a very prolific team. And, yeah, we'll take a look here and see how the game's going to develop. Before we do get too far into this replay cast, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to go ahead and hit that like button. Let's go for... let's see. How many... You know what? Let's just pick an arbitrary number and go ahead and say 31. Let's go for 31 likes on this video. If we can do that, that would be truly amazing. And of course, big thanks to everyone who's left feedback in the comments down below. Some of you in the last video were saying that the audio was a little bit quiet, my voice was a little bit quiet. I tweaked that a bit. I'm not sure what happened there, but yeah, hopefully the voice should be a little louder, the game sounds a little bit more quiet. And then, of course, if you do find the audio's fine, say Battle Cruiser is operational in the description, or in the comments below. That would be useful. Although I actually am going to lower the in-game sound just a tad bit here. 5%. How about that? Just to be safe. But anyway, yeah, we've got Reynor taking his expansion. MaxPax sent out the very early probe to block the expansion of the Zerg. That's a common thing for Protoss players to do these days. And then we've got a Stargate on the way for MaxPax. MaxPax is a guy who plays quite a diverse style and plays it in quite a unique way. That's one of the reasons why everyone's so excited about him. We'll see if he's got anything that can catch Reynor off guard, though, because that's not an easy feat. Or whether he'll just try and play a straight-up game, something like that. It looks like we do have one of the Adepts being shooed away. He loses its shield, is unable to get that creep tumor, doesn't get any damage done. However, now the second Adept is showing on up. MaxPax still regenning shields on the first Adept, so Reynor, very wisely done, targets down the Adept that was regenerating shields to interrupt that regeneration, getting maximum value. Looks like these two Adepts actually chasing the drones around a bit. Great save by Reynor there, saves one drone. Does he lose a second? Yes, he does. If MaxPax can get out with the Adepts, that would be wonderful for him. And looks like he has so far. Gets two drones, keeps the Adepts alive. This Adept will start regenerating shields soon enough. Reynor, I imagine, though, is going to be on the hunt for those Adepts, knowing that one is so injured. And he's doing just that, so MaxPax has got to be careful. He's going to shield the injured Adept with the full HP one, just to get maximum efficiency there. And Reynor's like, where'd the Adepts go? Where'd they go? Beautiful job hiding them by MaxPax. That's illusion 100 right there, keeping those Adepts safe. Really great play. We'll see if he's just going to shade those back in at a random time. He's got the Oracle going into the main base of the Zerg, not getting anything done, but this is a 1-2 punch. Reynor really not expecting these Adepts to show up at his third base, and now all of a sudden, going to be losing himself a few more drones. Let's see, 3 drones going down. The Adepts will probably forfeit their lives, but at this stage in the game, I think that's pretty decent. Catching Reynor off guard, looks like the Oracle was also able to get 4 kills on top of that, so 7 drones in all for this opening is really great damage done by the Protoss player, showing just his skill. That was an awesome move, having the Adepts hidden. Reynor thought they must have head back home, but that was not the case. And now MaxPax, yeah, just going to be looking to get up a third base. Once he's able to secure that area, probably warp in another couple of Adepts or something. He's trying to make sure he doesn't lose that probe, of course. Good Zergs like Reynor are experts at sniping the probe as it tries to take the third base. The Adepts being the bodyguards, though, and of course, the Oracle's also eating Reynor's attention. While this is going on, we've got a second Stargate going up for MaxPax. It looks like he's getting up a fleet beacon. That's pretty interesting. The fact that he's not going for any Void Rays and just right into a fleet beacon, pretty darn curious there. He's actually going to be going for carriers, the obvious choice. Does dump 2 Chrono Boost into a supply block, so one of the carriers is going to be delayed, probably about 10 seconds or so, which could be significant down the line, you never know. But small supply block there by MaxPax. Regardless, though, double carrier production on the way really soon. Reynor's just finishing up a Roach Warren. That's not going to help him out against carriers, and I really like this decision by MaxPax here. Oftentimes, the margin for trying to get out a critical carrier count is really narrow to not die to Zerg attacks, but MaxPax has had a solid opening, and so that's really going to back him up in the sense that he's going to have a bit of leeway when it comes to defending, reaching up that critical carrier count. And so I think he should be able to get to that no problem. He's got +1 air weapons on the way. The first carrier is out. It's now just going to be moving across the map. Second one's queued up. He's going to keep on that production. Chrono Boost going out. Interestingly enough, the carrier is going to move across the map, reveal his hand. That's interesting by MaxPax. I bet he wishes that he had both the carriers out. Of course, this one was a little bit delayed. Still 2 carriers into the Zerg base can cause a bit of disruption before Aspire's done. When the only anti-air is Queens, looks like the carrier is actually going to be used just to clean up creep. That's not something you see every day. However, cleaning up the creep is going to be nice for MaxPax. Reynor right now is just like, 1 carrier? Are you serious? Oh, looks like one of the Oracles does get sniped on down, though, by those Queens. Reynor with his mass Queens, as a matter of fact, is going to be able to deal with these 2 carriers. No sweat, essentially. Looks like the Overseer has seen everything going on in MaxPax's base. The carriers are engaging the Queens, but Transfuse should keep these alive. The Interceptors will most likely just eventually get whittled down enough, so MaxPax has to back off there. Reynor's going for a large Ling counterattack, probably realizing there's good potential here based off the fact that, of course, he killed off one of the Oracles. And Oracles are very key for Protoss to defend things like these Ling attacks, and now the third base is going to be under fire. Reynor, though, does not commit, just backs on out, and is actually really just buying time while he's starting to produce Mutalisk, interestingly enough. You'd expect the choice to be carriers and MaxPax, or Corruptors, pardon me, and MaxPax himself was probably expecting that too. That's likely why he got Flux Veins for his Void Rays, so that they move faster. But at the same time, this is kind of mind gaming, because the Mutas are going to be able to potentially pick off some probe, really throw a wrench into the plans of MaxPax. Carriers are not the quickest at pursuing down Mutas, particularly when they're controlled by someone like Reynor, who's just going to be utilizing them oh so quickly. All of a sudden now in comes the Mutas. The cannon is going to be the first target. The Mutas is going to work away on that. You imagine there's going to be a 1-2 punch, potentially the Lings moving on in, while the carriers move to deal with the Mutas. Looks like the Lings are going to go on in. Is there going to be a battery overcharge? Yes, there is, but Reynor is going to target down that shield battery with his +1 Lings rather quickly. MaxPax losing 18 probes all of a sudden is huge losses for the Protoss player. 19 probes, probably all the probes at this base are going to die. The Mutalisk actually commit on into the carriers. That was a bit of a mistake by Reynor. It's actually going to cost him, quite a few of them. Yeah, that was pretty much all the Mutas that died there. 12 going down, committing onto the carriers. This is a bold move by Reynor, but he might rightfully so be feeling bold this game, as he just killed off 24 probes. That's a third of MaxPax's economy, and MaxPax really needs to replace those units, but this is going to hinder him getting up a 4th base. All the while, Reynor himself has got up his own 4th, and it's the gold, so he's going to have mad money. And now he's going to start making Corruptors build up that count. Ensure he's got proper anti-air, all the while likely keeping on pressure onto his opponent. The Mutas are out on the map. I'm not sure how much they're going to get done based on the presence of Phoenix, but soon it'll be Muta Corruptors, so the Phoenix won't be too prevalent. In goes the Mutas, but they do get turned around. Yeah, this is quite interesting. MaxPax has got a significant army, but at the same time, it's not that good. If you had the choice to be a 4-base Zerg or a Protoss on a poor economy with a couple of with a few carriers and a few Void Rays, I think the choice is generally to be the Zerg. We've now got that 5th base going up for Reynor. Looks like MaxPax is going to move out, but you imagine Reynor's going to move in as this occurs. This is likely going to force a recall or a bit of a base trade situation. Looks like Reynor, though, actually elects to pull back once he sees MaxPax out on the map. This is quite an interesting choice. We've now got MaxPax warping in Zealots. He did get out charge. He's transitioning into a bit of a ground army, which I love, as Reynor himself has really neglected his ground forces. And all of a sudden, MaxPax is just moving on into the side of the Zerg. He's going for an attack, killing off a good number of these Overlords. Going to actually supply block Reynor, but in goes Reynor with the Mutas. They've got their +1 flyer attack, targeting down the carriers rather quickly. The Corruptors should just be able to do the rest of the work, and the Queens are just such a presence that this Protoss army is going to be rinsed by Reynor. MaxPax having himself a real rough time right now. The Archons are doing rather well for themselves, and oh my gosh, the ground army is actually doing quite well as all the Queens get chewed on up. Reynor's got 23 Roaches on the way, though. That's definitely something. The Zerg, though, is having his mining time interrupted. Zealots are now moving towards that 4th base, which is almost mined out. Going to start slaughtering some of the drones there, so it's going to take a while for Reynor to get his house in order. He's going to lose 9 drones in the process, but I still think he'll be in a wonderful spot as he's going to clean up most of this Protoss force. The cannons, or the cannon tries to dissuade the Corruptors. This is actually going to force a Stalker warping by MaxPax to save his Nexus. A preemptive battery overcharge just shows how serious those Corruptor threats are to the Protoss Nexus. But by gosh, what a game here between Reynor and MaxPax. Okay, we take a look. The Oracle that's been alive this entire game will go down. MaxPax is now down on supply. He's still on 3 bases, which is the concern. While Reynor did get up his 5th base, he'll probably saturate that up as soon as he can. And now we see Archons, we see Void Rays on the way for MaxPax. It's an interesting composition, but now all of a sudden the Zerg player is going to be coming on in. I'm not sure if Reynor saw if that battery overcharge was used, but he's going for it regardless. The Void Rays are going to cut into these Roaches like it's nothing, but then there's really just not much else going on for Reynor. The Void Rays, though, are just going to have to clean up all of this, and it's actually interesting. Usually it's just a couple of Void Rays that have the task of cleaning up the Roaches, but there's actually more than enough here for MaxPax to push away Reynor, which is quite a good feeling for the Protoss. Oftentimes you'll be like, oh, I got Void Rays, and then the Zerg's like, yeah, but I got something to kill the few Void Rays you have. In reality, though, Reynor did not. He's actually making more Corruptors to deal with the Void Rays, but Corruptors aren't that good against Void Rays, for those of you that are unaware. I mean, they can be decent depending on the number ratio, but MaxPax is at 7 Void Rays, which is a rather healthy number. They're going to have +2 flyer attack on the way. More Void Rays are on the way. More Stargates are on the way for MaxPax, which I'll actually say is quite interesting. I don't know if he's going to be at the economy to support 4-base Stargate. He is getting up that gold base, however, but by gosh, look at this. MaxPax is just out on the map with his Void Rays like a crazy person. He's going to target down a couple of Overlords. He's just flying over all the Roaches Reynor has. Gonna force the Zerg player to back up a little bit. And now the Void Rays are actually still just flying around looking for any damage they can get done, and they are finding a good bit of damage. There's not enough Corruptors here for Reynor. Just making pure Corruptor against a Void Ray composition is interesting. I love Reynor's choice to counterattack. This gold base is actually so critical for MaxPax. It's not really saturated, but it's going to be under fire here, and the Protoss needs to save it. He's busy fighting with these Corruptors on Reynor's side of the map, though. Maybe he feels the pressure to get something done, but I'm not sure how well this is going to go. We see Corrosive Balls making those Void Rays move. The Prismatic Alignment is doing wonders against the Corruptors, however, though. MaxPax loses a lot of his units. I'm not sure he'll be able to replace those, but as I say that, 4 more Void Rays on the way at a time. This man just loves himself some Void Rays. Yeah, I've never seen this many Void Rays before. Just pure Void Ray against pure Corruptor. Like, you generally think the Zerg would go for something else. Looks like there's no Prismatic Alignment here on these Void Rays. There is on a couple of them. So Reynor does actually take a pretty favorable trade there. I think that was just a few Corruptors for a few Void Rays, which is actually good for the Zerg, who's got the numbers. And yeah, MaxPax gonna lose himself another Void Ray. He's lost how many this game? 10 Void Rays in total. The Queens are even out on the map. Reynor wants to get aggressive right now. Whereas for MaxPax, it really is just all about the Void Rays. They are going to have +2 attack by the time another fight happens, but then, oh, look at this. Ling's trying to get on in towards the natural base. MaxPax not warping anything in to save that, but he doesn't really need to. And I can't believe he's actually making the game be this close. You generally think Zerg gets up a 5th base, they're in a great spot, but Reynor's been unsure of what composition to make. MaxPax has kept him guessing. There's now 11 Void Rays out for MaxPax. These Corruptors are out on the map. They're looking for any pickoff they can get. Good reaction by MaxPax trying to save his Void Rays. Might be too little too late. Reynor is a greedy boy, though, committing on in here. And all of a sudden, the Void Rays are in pursuit. Looks like Reynor is not going to leave empty-handed, getting the pickoffs up. I believe it's going to be 3 Void Rays, but man, is this going to cost him some of his Corruptors. I'm not sure how many that was there, but it definitely was a fair few. While this is going on, though, the 4th base is being harassed. Once again, MaxPax showing quite a preemptive battery overcharge, just so worried about losing his Nexus. I really respect that, as a matter of fact, because there's often times which we say, oh, the shield battery overcharge was too late because they were trying to save it for the right moment. Once again, MaxPax steps forward to take a fight. He's really slaughtering some of those units, but the Queens are quite a presence there to prevent the Void Rays from fighting. I mean, the +2 Void Rays do a lot of work to even the Queens at this point. But still, this is kind of concerning now for MaxPax. He's still on 57 workers. His entire economy pretty much hinges on this one Nexus. All the while, Reynor has got himself up to 73 drones. Probably wants another hatchery at some point. I do love the Disruptor choice by MaxPax, so I think he's playing a brilliant game this match. Reynor is going to lose himself another couple of Corruptors. The play by MaxPax with the Void Rays has just been rather incredible, but now we see Reynor coming forward. Queens, Corruptors, and Ravagers going to be used to try and force a good fight against these Void Rays. MaxPax is going to have to dodge the Biles, there's no question about that. But how is the fight going to play out then when he is dodging these corrosive Biles? His economy is taking a lot of heat as he loses 7 probes to Reynor getting this position. But then take a look at the numbers here. Disruptor shot goes out. Gonna see a good split out of Reynor. The Void Rays are taking the fight though, but they do back off temporarily. And I think that's good for MaxPax. Another Disruptor comes forward. Corruptors step forward. Prismatic alignment, pardon me, gets used. All the while, another Disruptor does get a shot off, hits some of the Ravagers. And at the end of the day, really, it is all about the Void Rays versus Corruptors and Queen count. Queen almost gets assassinated there by the Void Rays, but does stay alive. The Void Ray count still is 14, but the problem is the Queen count has been growing here. And it's been growing. Then all it takes is a couple... It's like, all it really takes... Oh, 2 Void Rays go down there. Is a couple of Corrosive Biles to force the Void Rays to take a bad fight. We see a couple Archons now morphing in for MaxPax. I would have loved to see transfuse or feedbacks on the Queens before those morph into Archons, but of course the Roaches and Ravagers made that not possible. Now we see Reynor is starting to get onto the door of MaxPax. The Disruptor rallies out, but it's in a vulnerable position. The shot does get off. It's an okay shot. I think I might have preferred those to be going on the Queens at this point, since they are really the main threat. They can't split as well. And oh, speaking of not splitting, the Void Rays do eat some nasty shots there. The count is down to 8. Battery overcharge being the MVP, as always, keeping these few Void Rays that are left alive, but the numbers have dropped so much. Reynor is up to 14 Corruptors, and I think it's going to be just too much. The Protoss lost just a few too many Void Rays here and there that his count snowballed, so he kept taking unfavorable engagements. Now his Void Rays are running. There really is nothing left for MaxPax. Zealots are doing what they can in this situation, but in the end, the attempt at mass Void Rays has failed for MaxPax. He's warping in what he can, but he's only got 8. He does have 8 gateways. I mean, 8 Zealots here might do something, but he doesn't have the resources since he has been building his Void Rays, and he did actually let those finish. Now he's got 5 Void Rays again, so he's going to try, but he's going to be losing his gold base most likely, and that's just going to be a huge economic blow. All the while this was going on, there was actually a great counterattack. 19 drones died, so gosh, this game is actually oh so close. But the Void Rays, now we worry, are just not going to be in high enough numbers to do the work needed. There's a great Disruptor shot. Cleans out some of the Queens, and now I think Zealots can maybe win the ground fight against these Roaches. Then all it takes is a couple Stalkers to zone out the Corruptors, but with more Roaches crossing the map for Reynor, he made just exactly what he needed. And yeah, MaxPax not going to win in the sky. and he's not going to be able to win on the ground, and that just puts you in an unwinnable position here as the Protoss, it would seem. Disruptor shot does go out, but doesn't hit anything. The disruptor shots have been a little bit lacking this game, and that is another problem. Then MaxPax just bleeding off a few too many units, I think, really being it. It was a beautiful play by MaxPax. I totally missed him with his harassment, hitting the space while it was going on. That was an incredible play. But yeah, in the end, Corruptors do just trade pretty decently against Void Rays, depending on the micro. I mean, it's been 34 Void Rays to 63 Corruptors. The 20 Queens have also died, but the ratio hasn't been too bad for Reynor, and he has had the better economy. MaxPax is going to try and take a fight against the Corruptors, but Reynor knows he's got MaxPax. There's no third base left for the Protoss. GG gets called. Reynor takes the game, but man, what a game it was. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this one, make sure to go ahead and hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, join the Bell Gang. Leave a like, leave a comment, consider becoming a member if you do want to support the channel. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for tuning in.